Hi, welcome to Tally Alley, where we do dumb stuff. I'm Evan,
I'm Haley.
and this is Movie Alley Week 9. This week we're going to be talking about Jumanji.
Jumanji, the next level.
The next level.
Specifically. I'm not a huge fan of these Jumanji films. Not that they're bad, the way they're done storyline wise with the whole video game aspect of it compared to the board game just kind of throws me a little, because at one point when they were first making the first one, they discussed that this wasn't going to be a reboot because it was going to be different, I guess alluding to the fact that they were using a video game instead of the board game, but it's still a reboot. And so I didn't like how they marketed it as if it wasn't a reboot, but yet it still really is.
I don't know, I mean it's pretty different. I mean you go in a game instead of,
It is, but it's still the same type of concept.
I mean I guess, but that doesn't really bother me at all. I'm not crazy about the Jumanji movie, but I've never, I love the original Jumanji, but it's not my favorite thing ever. It's more like, I watched this a lot as a kid. I still really like it. And Robin Williams is hilarious.
Yes.
Just carries that movie for the most part, really. But, so, and I think I've only seen the first Jumanji one, one time. So to be completely honest, I didn't remember a lot of the plot points that, moved the second movie along with character development and stuff.
Yeah.
But I'll say this, to be completely honest, you don't really need to see it, I don't think, to just go enjoy the movie.
No, you need to have a general understanding.
Maybe for a couple of the characters.
Yeah, you need to have a general understanding of how Jumanji works generally, the game part of it.
I think you need to see at least one of the other movies.
Yeah, so
if you see the original one, or this the reboot, non-reboot one, I think you're fine.
And it's important to understand that there are these four main characters, kind of, but you don't really need to know their history really, because pretty much in the first 10 minutes of the movie
you get caught up.
You get completely caught up on all of their internal drama. So really you don't have to see the first one. I mean, there was a couple things when we got out of the movie I was like, I don't understand. I didn't understand completely, but that was more not understanding how the time works in the game versus out of the game, and less of not understanding the character stuff.
Yeah.
Because there was some stuff with Alex, I think is his name. The character Alex, who Nick Jonas was at first.
I don't know if that's his character name, but sure.
I think it's his character name.
Okay.
But because he was a big deal in the first one, and they kind of brought him in in the second half of this movie.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a little odd, but that was more just a little bit of confusion on how time works in the game versus outside of the game than an actual issue with not understanding who the character was. Because it was very easy to understand who the character was because they kind of gave a bit of backstory on there. So I don't know if they didn't expect people to see the first one, or they just think it's been so long that they really needed to push a lot of that information out.
I don't know. Really, I think, it's only been 2 years.
Yeah.
The other one came out in 2017. So normally I don't think a movie would give that kind of backstory, but I feel like they expect a decent amount of young,
Probably.
not young kids, but younger people to come see it, or older people who really like Jumanji, the original, and then just saw that one because it's funny. And I mean, The Rock and Kevin Hart bring audiences of all ages, our grandparents,
and Jack
them and everybody. So you got tons of just actors that bring an older crowd that might not remember because they just didn't care enough about it. Or
Nick Jonas now being in this one, and the Jonas Brothers are back.
They've got a poll for all ages, so they probably just put that in there to remind you before the movie starts, which I think is always nice.
Yeah.
But also because maybe some of their fans really just wouldn't remember at all.
Yeah, it was really funny at times. There was a lot of really good jokes.
I thought, honestly, I just don't think I have a reason for why I wasn't a crazy big fan of it. But because really, it did have a nice balance of, it was really funny at times, then at other times it got more serious and followed the plot of the movie.
Yeah.
But I guess, I don't know, I guess it just didn't really click.
I think some of the issue is the theater we were in, there was a lot of people making a lot of different movements and noises.
Yeah.
It was really hard to just get into the movie. There was a couple of very young kids. There was some older people who have lost their sense of awareness in a movie theater, I think. There was a kid like stampeding down the steps like 3 times during the movie to go get refills and stuff.
That was like a 16-year-old.
It was not like a young child. He was like
I was not
like jumping down the steps, not just walking, like literally thudding.
Yeah, so that's probably some of it.
I mean, that doesn't help.
But I don't know.
It was very hard, I think, to get into the whole like suspension of disbelief with the film, because every time I would really get into the film, there would be something that happened, some special effect or something that just seemed like completely out of nowhere, and I was just I'm over this.
I think as much as it's meant to be like, here's a crazy world with all these crazy things can happen, I think sometimes they need to chill.
Yeah.
Because if they would at least give us like, oh, special effect after special effect after special effect, like put them in little clumps or something, not like one peppered throughout. Because I feel like sometimes I could really get into the story, like you were saying, like be like, oh, I'm invested in this character development right now, and then I know we're just poof, we're gonna go to a comedy thing and cut off this character development completely.
It just, like, it was very hard. It felt kind of disjointed like that, which is just the way the movie's set up, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just not something I'm particularly into. I need to be able to, like, completely invest into a story to really, like, feel like I'm 100% enjoying it.
I can be uninvested, but it needs to be funnier than that.
Now, one thing that really bothered me, because I felt like it wasted half of the screen time, and it wasn't funny, and it wasn't purposeful to the plot line, really, it was kind of almost lazy writing to me, was the whole thing with the 3 lives.
Oh, because none of them died.
Because they kept killing each other. Like, getting in stupid fights and, like,
they didn't
kill each other.
Didn't, like, yeah, I think, like, half the lives of the group left because but it was because it was, like, the grandparents didn't understand.
Yeah, some of it was that, but it was just, like, it was so stupid, and it was so pointless.
It's like, if it's that big of a deal, then why on earth are you just going willy-nilly about it?
Yeah, and it was like, so of course when it gets down to like the big fight, they've all only got 1 life left, like it's like this big deal, but it's like, it was only a big deal because they made it such like a stupid thing at the beginning. And understandably, like the first time one of the grandparents died, that was one thing because they didn't understand. But after that point, there was no reason for everyone else. Like there was like fire bombs hitting people because they were arguing about leaving. There was like
the bazooka.
There was them like literally just getting into a fist fight.
Yeah.
And killing one of them. It was so pointless, and it just, I don't know. That was the thing that drove me crazy. Cause like if you're in some harsh challenges or something and somebody dies, fine. But like there was no point to it.
Yeah.
And it did not fit the plot really at all.
I felt like it was just supposed to make it more intense.
Yeah, and it didn't make it intense for me. It just made it annoying.
They conveniently made Nick Jonas' character die twice right there when he was doing the traps. They were like, he needs to die.
After he'd been trapped in this game for 20 years.
Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I thought they were gonna kill him and just be like, oh yeah, screw you guys. We're gonna kill the one guy who just got saved.
Yeah, that was, the whole lives thing was the thing that really caught me. But, like, it was a good movie. I think a lot of kids would really enjoy this, but watch the age of the kids, because there was quite a bit of language in this. Not harsh language, not like F-bombs or anything like that, but there was quite consistent language throughout the entirety of the film.
I thought there was
There might have been one, but there was not more than one, because it would have been R-rated then.
Okay.
But
there was some.
And you know what? I actually don't know that we got a thing when we were booking tickets warning us that it was rated PG-13. Because our kiosks normally will say this is suitable for kids over the age of 13, and I don't know that we did, and it should have been.
Yeah.
And the kids that were in the theater with us were probably 3 or 4, and really too young for it. But like a 9 or 10-year-old and middle school age kids, like 100% would be into this movie.
Yeah, I think it's good
for styling of it. So
it's good for them for sure.
Yeah.
What
would you rate it?
Probably a 3. Like, as much as I'm not, like, crazy about it, it's still a decent movie.
Yeah. I would give it a 3. I'd want to give it a 3.5 because I feel like a 3 is kind of low, but at the same time...
I feel like our scaling system's out of 5 and a 3 is
3
decent.
is very fair, I think, for the film. And on top of that, just not getting to really be in depth with the film, I think I have to give it a 3. Had I had a different viewing experience, it might have edged to a 3.5.
Yeah, I'll say one last thing before we wrap it up. As much as we both we both give it 3s. It's a decent movie. The actors all did amazing though.
Yeah, they did a really
The
good
actors
job.
did insanely good because all these characters at some point are switching around, and then the way they play their characters switch perfectly with them.
Oh yeah.
And you could not tell that they had just changed like who they were.
They did a super good job in
was-
making sure that you understood that they were a different person.
Yeah,
at that point,
it was-
with their voice tone and how
It
they
was
sang.
really that was really impressive on how great
Yeah.
that
I will
switch
definitely agree
was.
with that. The actors did a really amazing job. The issues we had were more storyline issues.
It was pretty much all storyline, and when they decided to do certain special effects and stuff, but the acting in it was
And I will
top
say,
notch.
our parents loved the first one, and
And they're
they
gonna
will
see-
probably love this next
Yeah.
one because that's the type of films that they're
Yeah.
into and stuff, and their level of what
so
they
take
enjoy.
your parents and your middle school kids.
Basically.
So I think that's it for us though. Both gets a 3 from both of us. The acting itself I would give like a 4.5 though, because
Oh, yeah.
it was top tier, probably even a 5.
Yeah.
But so that's it for us. Movie Alley Week 9 done, and we're cut.